The Indiana Fever didn't just win a basketball game. They issued a statement. What unfolded against the Atlanta Dream was more than a regular season blowout. It was a moment shift. A seismic wave rippling across the WNBA. Caitlin Clark didn't need to score 40. She didn't need a highlight reel triple-double or a buzzer beater. What she delivered was something far more lethal. Total, methodical, and surgical domination. And she did it her way. With 36 seconds left on the clock, the scoreboard already declared what we all knew. This wasn't a close one. This wasn't a squeaker. The Fever were up big. The game was over. And yet, in that moment, Caitlin Clark stood on the court with the ball in her hands. Not coasting, not checking out, but orchestrating every final movement like a conductor guiding a symphony through its final triumphant note. This wasn't just a blowout. It was a blueprint. Let's rewind the tape and examine how it happened, because this wasn't about hot shooting or lucky breaks. This was about leadership. It was about heart. And it was about Caitlin Clark, a rookie with the weight of a franchise, a league, and a cultural movement on her shoulders, stepping into the spotlight and daring anyone to take it from her. In the first half, it looked like the Fever might be in trouble. Jordan Canada was cooking, absolutely torching Indiana with 26 points, including 6 three-pointers. She sliced through the defense with ease, pulling up from deep and blowing past defenders. Indiana looked flat-footed, hesitant, disorganized. But then came the switch. Caitlin Clark took on the defensive assignment herself. She didn't switch off. She didn't hide behind help. She stared down Canada, locked in, and said, "Not on my watch." The result? Canada, who was unstoppable in the first half, was silenced in the second. Just 4 points. She went from raining fire to barely touching the ball. And the only thing that changed. Caitlin Clark. This wasn't just lockdown defense. It was a mental checkmate. Caitlin face-guarded her, fought over every screen, used her length to contest every jumper, and stayed glued to her hip. She didn't just challenge shots. She took away Canada's confidence. That's what elite defenders do. They don't just affect the scoreboard. They disrupt rhythm. They break spirit. They make great players question their every move. And that's exactly what Caitlin did. But she didn't stop there. With her setting the defensive tone, the entire Fever team fed off that energy. Defensive rotations tightened. Help came faster. Closeouts were sharper. The Atlanta Dream, who looked so composed in the first half, suddenly looked rushed, clumsy, and out of sync. Brittney Griner and Brianna Jones, Atlanta's frontcourt powerhouses, were supposed to dominate this matchup. Instead, they were erased. Caitlin didn't do it alone, but she was the catalyst. She pushed the tempo so relentlessly that Griner couldn't even get set. She constantly pulled Atlanta's bigs away from the paint with movement and spacing, and they never recovered. One moment they were guarding the paint, the next they were scrambling to close out on Sophie Cunningham's corner three. And when they tried to recover, Caitlin punished them. Again and again. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. She doesn't need to score to take over a game. She warps defenses with her presence alone. Her vision stretches the court. Her pace breaks rhythm. And when she touches the ball, the defense bends, whether she shoots it or not. Let's talk about that offense. Because while the box score will tell you she finished with 12 points and 9 assists, that doesn't come close to explaining what really happened. Caitlin Clark ran the offense like a seasoned veteran. Her decision-making was razor-sharp. She didn't force bad shots. She didn't try to play hero ball. She read the defense like a quarterback at the line of scrimmage, adjusting, baiting, and striking. Her passes weren't just assists. They were daggers. They were surgical strikes. She hit Aaliyah Boston for multiple free throw trips with perfectly timed interior feeds. She found Sophie Cunningham in rhythm not once, not twice, but 4 separate times for wide-open threes. Her skip passes shredded the Dream's trapping defense, and her transition lobs had Indiana running like a well-oiled machine. This wasn't freelance basketball. This was organized chaos, and Caitlin Clark was the architect. Let's go deeper. Caitlin was a -9 in the first half. By the end of the game, plus 21. That means she was a plus 30 in the second half alone. That's not coincidence. That's domination. And remember, she did all this while still not shooting well. 5 of 17 from the field. 1 of 7 from 3. She didn't let it faze her. She kept her head up, kept attacking, kept facilitating. Most rookies get discouraged when the shot doesn't fall. Caitlin Clark recalibrates. She finds other ways to kill you. And the Fever responded. When Caitlin had the ball in her hands consistently in the second half, the game transformed. The offense flowed. Sophie Cunningham turned into a double-double machine. Aaliyah Boston feasted in the paint. Dantas knocked down clutch threes. Kelsey Mitchell exploded. The ball movement was infectious. Everyone got involved. Caitlin didn't just make plays. She made players better. Let's not gloss over what happened to the Dream's frontcourt. Brittney Griner, an Olympian and one of the WNBA's most physically dominant centers, was supposed to be the anchor. Instead, she was a ghost. The tempo Clark imposed prevented Griner from establishing herself. She never found her rhythm. And when she tried to help on drives or hedge pick and rolls, Clark made her pay. The Dream's defensive scheme collapsed. Jones picked up fouls trying to recover. Griner was caught in no man's land on switches. And Canada, completely neutralized. You know what makes it even crazier? Caitlin Clark is still working her way back from injury. She's not even at 100% yet. She's playing through lingering quad and groin issues. And yet, even without her full lift or top-end speed, she was the most impactful player on the floor. That's IQ. That's poise. That's greatness. Even when she was moved off the ball, an experiment that's been heavily criticized, she adjusted. She cut hard. She spaced properly. And when the ball came back to her, she attacked. That's a sign of a mature player. Someone who understands timing, flow, and the bigger picture. And when the Fever finally let her take full control again, the floodgates opened. Indiana dropped 99 points on the Dream. 30 in the fourth quarter alone. That's rare in the WNBA. That kind of offensive outburst doesn't happen by accident. It happens when your floor general knows exactly what she's doing. Let's not forget what this game really was. A test. Challenge. Atlanta came in with size, experience, and momentum. Canada was red hot. Griner was expected to dominate. But Indiana, behind Clark, completely flipped the narrative. They turned a potential nightmare into a showcase. And Clark didn't just silence the doubters. She embarrassed them. She showed that dominance doesn't always come with a scoring title. Sometimes it comes with pace, vision, and energy. Sometimes it comes from locking up the opposing team's best player. Sometimes it comes from making your teammates shine brighter. Let's say it plainly. Caitlin Clark ran this game. She dictated the pace. She shaped the defense. She bent the court to her will. And by the end, she had dismantled one of the most respected teams in the league, without ever needing a heat check moment. Critics keep asking, where's the 30-point game? But they're missing the forest for the trees. Caitlin Clark is changing the very definition of dominance in women's basketball. She doesn't need to score 30 every night to prove her value. She doesn't need to go viral to impact the game. She wins with her brain, her vision, her control. She makes teams uncomfortable. She makes coaches adjust. She makes stars disappear. This wasn't just a win. This was a blueprint for what the Fever can become, if they let her lead. And it all starts with trust. Trust her to run the offense. Trust her to guide the defense. Trust her to make mistakes and grow. Because when Caitlin Clark is Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever aren't just good. They're dangerous. So let's end with this. Drop 100% for Caitlin in the comments. Not because of the points, but because of the poise. Not because of the highlights, but because of the hustle. If you saw what she did and know what it means for the future of the WNBA, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the system anymore. She is the system. And the league better wake up.